What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Boundless Perception YouTube channel. And today we're back with yet another build, and this is something this is unlike anything I've ever done before. The largest build by far I've done to date. Just hoping it all goes well. So we're gonna go ahead and assemble that today and check out exactly what all this is. So let's get into it. All right, guys, we are back and I am a bit overwhelmed. There is a lot going on here. For our build today, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 pieces that we have to join together. But you might be wondering what all this is. And well, this is all Sentinel Vayne's crossbow from League of Legends. I just got this off the printer. This print took over 16 days to complete. This is by far my largest print to date. Granted, I did do it on multiple printers, but the time, together was over 16 days. So it took me a little while to squeeze this out. So just keep that in mind if you are ever ordering this. It takes a little while to print, but it's definitely worth it. Just a few things. Printing this was no easy task. Oh yeah, it took multiple CR10s to do this, and the pieces are very, very large. I think like this piece alone was a 2-day print, 2.5-day print, something like that. But as you can see, it's very sturdyable because it did not break on that fall. Also, this was my very first time using transparent PLA, and that right there is a support piece. But this is my first time using transparent PLA. I've got a ton of it over here that I need to join together because it wouldn't fit all together on my 3D print bed. So we're going to be joining all that together. I went ahead and saved you guys the time of watching me take all the supports off because there was a lot to take off from. What was it? This piece, there was a decent amount on here and a decent amount on here. There wasn't really anything on all the pieces laid out before you. I'm not sure if you can see all of them. I'm just gonna lay that down and lay this down. Lay those down for now, but there wasn't any support material in any of these, so there was nothing to worry about there. But yeah, let's just go ahead and assemble this. I think once it's fully complete, I designed it to be about 4 feet in length, so it's gonna be pretty freaking big. But looking at the game, Vayne's crossbow, she uses 2 hands to complete. It goes across her entire back, and I just thought that that was a good size for this. The pieces, if you see Sentinel Vayne's crossbow, which I should put here on the screen on one of these sides, it is basically held together by magic. All of these pieces here are floating. And obviously we don't have magic in the real world, or maybe we do and it was a long lost technology. Still not too sure about that. But as of today, we don't have magic in the world, so I plan to try to use these transparent PLA pieces to hold it all together. And then I was thinking I could put a light inside of it to shine through, make it light up and all that stuff. But that's in much later plan. So let's go ahead and get to gluing for this. I'm going to be using probably super glue because the surfaces are enormous. Tons of area for it to bond. Only time I get a little bit concerned about that is when there's not tons of surface area. So these have a lot, so I'm not worried about them bonding. But let's go ahead, hop to it, construct this entire thing and see how it comes out. A little bit nervous, but hopefully it all goes well, so let's do it. So this piece has now dried. Super glue did its thing. Again, we use super glue because the surfaces were so large. That's why we're not using our JB weld. So you can see it all holds together. Now you may be wondering, put that down, why I haven't put this piece on there, because it does to go on the much larger rod. Well, that is because to get this all to hold together, we have to put these transparent rods through here. And I'm gonna have to sand these down a little bit. It's all a very tight fit, but they'll fit through. And I wanna make sure those fit before we actually glue it onto that piece and, you know, connect everything. So I think I'm going to start working on all of these small pieces here. And also, well, for each of these small pieces, as you guys can see, there's a slot. And that's because these fit through the slots and gives it that floating quote unquote appearance. So I have to glue all of these together and then we will move on to that. So let's glue these pieces together. I think, I don't know where I put my glue. I dropped it. Once I find my glue, we will glue this together. All right, found my glue. So we're gonna go ahead and glue these pieces together, putting a healthy amount of glue, not too much, just a healthy amount. To get those to snap together. Yep, just like so. And getting them as close to each other as possible. Not too fun. I will tell you guys also, printing with transparent PLA, it's very difficult to see the first layer for obvious reasons. So I just kind of was hoping for the best. And it did, you know, turn out great, but that's just something to guys keep in mind if you do plan to use transparent PLA. Not as easy to see and work with as regular PLA. And come on, glue together. Hopefully there's nothing with the gluing here. Let's see what's going on. Huh. Let's try it this way. We're gonna have to figure this out. For some reason, the pieces don't want to glue together. All right, so after a little bit of sanding, using my custom-made sand stick that I need to redo, we got these pieces to go together. They are keyed, like so. So every time you 3D print, it's not always exact, so a little bit of sanding is usually needed. But we're gonna go ahead now, join all of these pieces together, and then we're gonna have to JB weld this, because for some reason, transparent PLA does not like super glue. Who would have known? But we're gonna have to JB weld those pieces together, wait probably like an hour or two for them to finish, and then we will complete the whole thing. So right now, let's just go ahead and assemble, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 16 pieces together. Starting on the end here, and I went ahead and labeled these just to make sure I would know what they are, but let's go ahead and assemble them. So all these pieces have to finish drying, which will be relatively quickly, but you know, I've got other things to do, so there's no rush on those. Again, I'm very shocked that transparent PLA does not accept super glue. I don't know what's going on with that. So I know it's gonna take, if I can grab it and reach it, JB Weld. So that's what we're gonna use in place of super glue to glue the 3 pieces together. And it does take longer, unfortunately, so I'm gonna have to wait, but you know, it is what it is. Also, this stuff is carcinogenic, so make sure you're using gloves if you do plan to use this, which I would highly recommend, but your choice, so whatever. Anyways, here we go. so we're gonna go ahead and let that dry with the JB Weld. As you can see, these parts are held together now by the super glue. A few gaps we're gonna have to fill, but that all comes in post. And this piece, of course, is completely dry. So this is coming along. We will come back in a few hours once this is dry and move on to the next part, which is hopefully connecting all of these. I'm hoping these will line up the way I think they will, but we're going to find out. So be back in a bit. All right, guys, so it has actually been a little bit more than a few hours. It's been a few days, and that's because I ran into a couple of issues that I had to get correct before I went back and recorded. Specifically, these pieces right here were not aligned the way I needed them to be in Cura, so I had to go back and reprint them, and now we have the correct ones in here. So that was one small piece. Again, remember we had our glue issue and I had to use JB Weld to hold these together because transparent PLA for some reason doesn't work very well with super glue. Then the next problem we came across were these rods here. So right now I am using a metal rod, but I'm only using it just for the time being to do a small comparison. I print these at 15% infill. What I'm going to do is actually print them at 50% infill, maybe even 75, to increase the, I don't know, tensile strength, I guess, essentially, of these rods, because these pieces are rather, they're not so much that they're heavy, but they're heavy for this piece to try to hold together. It has to hold together 4 pieces, and it's unable to do it. So I went, got a metal rod, cut it out to the same length, and that's what we're going to be using to see if we can get this all to go together. For the moment, I'm super gluing this. I'm trying to see if PLA gray will hold to PLA transparent. So we're using super glue for that. We're gonna give that a few more minutes and let that go ahead and finish drying. And then we will be ready to proceed, which is putting this piece onto here. And again, remember, this is all held together by super glue. And then we have to get, like I said, get this on there, then get all of these pieces onto this. Again, this is my largest print to date. It's a lot. So we're gonna go ahead and do that and see if it all comes together. So actually, before we cut, I want to talk about how I got all of these to go together. So right now, let's see, it's still drying up. It's not where I need it to be. And I'm probably gonna end up having to use JB Weld for this. But I just broke off a small piece of one of my wooden sticks, and I use that to set the length in between each part so that I know each part will be the exact same. Of course, you could use a ruler, tape measure, whatever have you. I'm kind of lazy, so I just went ahead and did the simplest and easiest method possible. So I'm actually going to go ahead, and I see that my experiment is already failing. For some reason, super glue, transparent PLA, it just doesn't mix. So we're gonna go ahead, mix up some JB Weld and put that into all of these areas. So let's do that. So it's been a little while, and I actually had to do a bit of work off of camera because I encountered a few errors that I definitely want to go over with you guys now. Well, we'll see. I want to show you guys everything. This is an amazing piece. It is by far the largest thing I've printed in terms of time. You know, Yoko's gun was a bit larger, but this thing is absolutely just monstrous, and I love it. It really captures all that is Vayne. So, Sentinel Vayne. So as you guys can see here, we have our clear pieces holding together all of the, you know, pieces that are supposed to be magically floating through the air. We actually had to go ahead and use a metal bar to hold up all these pieces because they're rather heavy, and a metal bar was able to, you know, support the weight of them. So that was one thing. We also had to drill holes here. Try to be careful with it. Drill holes because it's, you know, still drying a little bit, but we had to drill holes here to prevent everything from flipping and warping. So that was another thing we had to do. But that was pretty much the only hiccups that I came across. I think I might move the table out the way here and show you guys this thing in its full severity entire form because it is a behemoth. It's a sight to behold. So let's do that. Let's move this table and show you guys everything. All right, so here we have it as a close-up. As you guys can see, this is the entire piece here. It is enormous and it looks really awesome. So just a little close-up for you guys. All right, so now you guys can get an idea of just how large this piece is. To give you an idea, I am 6'1", and this piece went on the ground, so let's put it back down. Coming up to my chest, so it's about like, you know, 5 feet in length or so. It is awesome. I really, really do like it. Yeah, I cannot complain. As you guys can see, I have lots of plans for this. It has lots of finishing that needs to be done. But overall, it was really, really fun creating this, working on this. As you guys know, I do love League of Legends. This, of course, will be for sale in my Etsy store. If you want to cosplay as Sentinal Vayne, I highly recommend this piece. It's really great. If you are watching this video and you do purchase the piece, then just a few things you need to know. If you're going to glue all of these together, which I did, I spaced them out on, actually let me show you, I have a few extra lying around. The clear pieces here, I spaced them out on here and then just glued them on the spot and then connected them to the centerpiece, which seemed to work out very well. It is very sturdy. I mean, no complaints whatsoever at all. And it is very heavy. I would say this whole thing together is probably, feels about, I don't know, maybe about like 6 or 7 pounds or something like that. That's just a rough guess. I don't know. I really need to put it on the scale and see. But anyways, that is going to pretty much be it for this build. Thank you guys so much for coming along. Yeah, this thing is awesome. So if you enjoy it, if you like Sentinel Vayne, if you like League of Legends, if you have basically enjoyed this entire build, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe, and until next time, stay boundless. See you guys. Bye-bye.